Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my humble home, my humble casa here in Livingston, Montana. Let me check my mic here. I've been having little audio problems. That's the way it goes with Windows. But anyway, I've got a really stupid video that I'm going to do. It probably has no bearing on anybody. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But to give you a reference, today is July 4th, 4th of July of 2020. In August, the first week or second week, I don't know, I don't remember, is my 50th high school reunion. 50th high school reunion, 50. I'm getting old. Matter of fact, without doxing anybody, I've got 2 invitations here. Why they sent me 2 of them is beyond me. But I'm going to make an announcement here for what this means, because this video doesn't mean a lot to anybody, but maybe somebody's in the same kind of a situation I'm in, whatever have you. But I am not, I repeat, not going to that high school reunion. And I've got a few gripes and grumbles I want to air out, but I want to make it perfectly clear that I don't hate anybody. I don't hate any of my classmates and all that other stuff. But I do have some points that I want to make perfectly clear. I want to clear the air, if nothing else, to make me feel better. It sure the hell isn't going to do anything for you, but it'll definitely make me feel better. Okay, I graduated from Polson High School, Polson, Montana. It's up by Flathead Lake. It's on the south shore of Flathead Lake. It was exactly May 25th of 1970. May 25th of 1970. I remember that all too well. Okay. I was one of those kind of guys that came to Polson, and I came from a town called Ronan, which was 12 miles away. But Ronan and Polson at the time were rival schools. I don't know if you guys know about how that works. But, we were a bunch of hillbillies, fighting with each other and all that kind of stuff, So it was really weird for me to have to move, but I had to do what my family wanted, for me to move from Ronan, Montana to Polson, Montana, which was a rival school. But I had made a few friends there in Polson, and they introduced me around, and I seemed to fit into the school okay. I got fairly good grades. I didn't give the teachers any problems. I hated school, to be quite frank with you. All I wanted to do was get through that crap, get out of school and go fishing or whatever have you. Well, anyway, my point being is I graduated. I worked around Polson that summer. I worked for the Parks Department. I worked for the city. And in the fall of the year, back in those days, they still had the draft going for the Vietnam War, okay? To make a long story short, I don't want to get into all the specifics here. I'll be here for forever. But to make a long story short, I went into the United States Army on what they call a buddy plan, the buddy plan. I had a friend of mine, a real close friend of mine, that got drafted. And so, I went in to help him. That's about the best way I can put it. Anyway, to make another long story short, I went all the way through AIT, that's Advanced Individual Training or MOS, in the Signal Corps at Fort Monmouth, New Jersey, and I got a federal congressional letter or whatever have you, welcoming me, ordering me, if you will, to Vietnam. And I no more wanted to go to Vietnam than Man in the Moon, but that's where I went. Okay, I did my thing with Uncle Sam, put in my 3 years, made it through Vietnam and everything, but of course I came out of Vietnam. I can't say I was unscathed, because I was scathed. In other words, I had post-traumatic stress disorder. I have spent many hours getting tested, and I'm still under the care of the VA to this day, and all of that. As a matter of fact, I'm retired because of post-traumatic stress disorder, due to military duty in Vietnam. Okay, now here is my problem. When I came back to Polson, I really honestly do believe that I was discriminated against. I had a hard time finding jobs. I would actually go into certain places and talk to people I knew, and as soon as they found out that I'd been in Vietnam, they just turn around and walk away. That just ain't no kidding, man. That happened to me several times. There were several times I was sitting in a bar, drinking a beer, and somebody would sit down and say, "Hey, Jim, I haven't seen you in 3 years. Where you been?" And I'd just look right at them and say, "Vietnam." And they just almost immediately turn their back and start talking to other people. As a matter of fact, that first winter, I got out in the winter of 1973. In fact, it was December 5th of 1973. That first winter of 1974, I was homeless. I said homeless. I lived 18 miles out of town in an old sheepherder's cabin that had no windows, no doors, and the snow would just blow in there. The only thing that old cabin had going for it is it still had an old fireplace, and I could get me a fire going just enough to keep me warm, And then come the summer of 74, I was still homeless, and I lived out of a place called Turtle Lake in a tent for a month, And it was stuff like this, And the whole thing just left a bad taste in my mouth. Because even though I came to Polson from a rival school, I was only 12 miles away, I never ever really felt like I was part of the clique up there in Polson. I never really did. I never felt like I fit in there or none of that kind of stuff. And I definitely felt the wrath, if you will. I guess that's the wrong word, but the cold shoulder when I got out of the service and when I got out of Vietnam and like that. And so that is my main message here, and I realize that this is a different time period now. People look at us veterans a lot different. I don't know how many times I've got thanked for being a veteran and everything because I wear these hats sometimes, not all the time, and all of that other stuff. But I don't give a damn. I'm 68 years old right now. I don't care about getting thanked now. I needed help and support and emotional support and that kind of stuff back then. Back there in 1974, not 2000, not 2020, so, and there's really nothing more I can tell. Even if I went to that high school reunion, there's nothing to tell because basically what happened is I bummed around that Polson area for, about a half a year. I went up to Kalispell, Montana. That's where I was born. And I worked up there for a while. And then finally I ended up going down to southern Idaho. I went to a place called Burley, Idaho. I met a gal down there, fell in love with her, married her. I've been married to her for 45 years. I didn't stumble with my words, ladies and gentlemen, 45 years. I've had 3 natural-born children by her and myself, and I've got 6 grandchildren, okay? And I lived down in southern Idaho for 16 years. Then I got the hankering to move back to Montana real bad. I moved up to Butte, Montana, got a job working for the Bureau of Mines and Geology. I worked there for 5 years. Then the wife and I moved the family to West Yellowstone, Montana, which is one of the tourist capitals of the world. And I actually living in West Yellowstone wasn't too bad, but that was one of the coldest places you'll ever be. I seen it 50 below up there. And I just did manual labor, any kind of labor I could to keep the family going. And finally, after 8 years of fighting with the VA to prove my case for PTSD, 8 years, I said, I finally won my case and won me enough money to buy me a home, and now I reside in Livingston, Montana. I've been here since 2004. And that's my whole history, and that's all I want to talk about, and that's all I'd ever say to anybody if I went to my high school reunion. But I just simply did not like the way I was treated and all of that. And I got the cold shoulder, and it was like I had some kind of a disease, and it left a bad taste in my mouth. And notice I'm not pointing out anybody, or I'm not blaming the city itself, because the city of Polson had nothing to do with the Vietnam War. My high school had nothing to do with the Vietnam War, but I should have been treated with more respect. That's the point. But I wasn't, though. And I really sat here and debated for the last couple of days whether I wanted to make this video or not, or confess this, but it's just the way it is. Some of this kind of hurt runs real deep, and I have spent a lot of time in therapy and every other thing, getting my head screwed on straight because of that miserable event, that war, that fiasco called the Vietnam War. And so there you are. So any of my classmates that recognize me, if you see this video, pass it on to another classmate, so at least you know what the story is. I hope you folks have a good time at that reunion. I won't be there and all of that. Like I say, I got a bad taste in my mouth, and I have tried and tried and tried, like I say, to forgive, but there were some things that I was blamed for and pointed at and just insinuated and stuff that just plain wasn't true. So there you are with all of that. But anyway, for the people that are going to be going to the Polson 50th, the 1970 to the 2020 high school reunion, well, I wish you the best. I hope you have fun. Don't get too drunk or whatever have you. I had to quit drinking a long time ago, and all that other stuff. So, but I just figured I'd offer this explanation. I'm not trying to make anybody mad. And by the way, before I close out here, don't be sending me no weird emails, and don't be writing me and cussing me out or none of that kind of stuff, because all of that will go right to dumpers. Trust me on that. This is a touchy issue with me, this whole doggone thing. And I haven't been up to Polson in many years. Probably won't be up there for a lot more years. So anyway, that's all I've got to say. In this doggone file is 12 minutes long. Well, it's actually 13 minutes long. I really didn't want to make this on and on because, like I say, this type of a video here really doesn't have a lot of meaning to anybody other than the people I went to school with and a few people, older people that are still alive. Some of my teachers are probably still alive. I don't really know. I'm not going to find out. And matter of fact, where these invites came from, I don't even know the person that sent these to me. I really don't. And I was the chief photographer. I was one of the guys that helped put the yearbook together. I've got a video out on that. I did a lot of work putting that 1970 Polson High School yearbook together. I took a lot of pictures and worked with the audio visual director teacher for many hours and all this other kind of stuff. So anyway, where we at? We just kicked over 14 minutes. That's good enough here. I'm not holding any animosity, but there's nothing to tell about me. There's nothing that I want to tell about me. I just wanted to get this off my chest. It's just that simple. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take care of yourself. And like I say on my channel all the time, we shall see you on down the trail. And adios, my friends. Let me find the button to get out of here.